spent weeks parading around the country and promising Canadians he'd, quote, spend less. But the guy who was supposed to give us fiscal restraint dropped an 8% spending hike, after promising he'd cap government spending at 2%. A big broken promise and a $500 billion spending bill without an actual budget. He called himself an Ottawa outsider, but he's picking up pretty quick on the ways of old Liberal Ottawa. Businesses and households across the country spend their money and live within their means. Why can't the Prime Minister do the same?
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank my colleague for the question. In fact, we have more good news, Mr. Speaker, for Canadians. In fact, Statistics Canada just announced this morning that the Canadian economy grew by 2.2% in the first quarter, Mr. Speaker. This is a plan that is working. This is a plan about building the strongest economy in the G7. This is about transforming our economy, Mr. Speaker. This is about an ambitious, a confident, and a prosperous Canada, Mr. Speaker. We will deliver for Canadians.
Leave it to the Liberals to tell Canadians that $500 billion blank check and an 8% spending hike after promising to cap it at 2% means good news for Canadians. A request for a $500 billion blank check isn't a plan. It's the exact opposite. And so far, the plan is the government wants to send $1,400 per Canadian family for consultants, for government consultants. He said they cut it by $7 billion. Instead, they increased it by $6 billion. If the Prime Minister is the man with a plan who you want to hire in a crisis, then why does he need to hire so many families?
Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, this is an interesting question, but the real question this morning is how much the Canadian economy has grown over the last quarter. And the answer, 2.2%, much higher than economists' predictions. So when you have a plan to grow the Canadian economy, to make it the strongest in the G7, to transform our economy, to have an ambitious and prosperous country, Mr. Speaker, well, that's what Canadians have asked for, and that's what we're delivering.
Mr. Speaker, if the government had a plan, they'd table a budget yesterday and tell Canadians exactly how their money is being spent. And of course, nothing says affordability like hiring the architect of the housing crisis to fix the problem here. The new housing minister let Vancouver home prices rise by 179% when he was in office. So I have a very simple question. Can he tell us how much of this government's inflationary spending, how much is each Canadian mortgage going to go up as a result?
Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I like this question period this Friday because we have so many good news for Canadians. It is interesting, the question, but the real question is that we have a plan and our plan is working. 2.2%, Mr. in terms of growth in the last quarter. This is what Canada is about. It's about investing in our people. It's about investing in our industry. It's about investing in Canada. Mr. Speaker, not only we have growth, but we always have a triple rating, a AAA credit rating, Mr. Speaker. One of the two countries in the G7. Imagine, Mr. Speaker, that's a confident Canada. That's an ambitious Canada. That's the Canada we'll build together.
For Louis Saint-Laurent at Wenrock. Well, Mr. Speaker, just a few weeks ago, all of these people were elected telling Canadians they would control spending. And on Tuesday, the King said that there would be new fiscal discipline with a maximum increase in spending of 2%. That was Tuesday morning. And then Tuesday afternoon, this government brought in new legislation. And actually, we saw that spending would go up by 8%. This new Prime Minister, who was supposed to be a global banker, who would have thought he would do worse than the former drama teacher, Justin Trudeau? So my only question to the Minister of Finance is, can you stop channeling Justin Trudeau? The Honourable Minister of Finance. Well, I have a great deal of respect for my colleague, Mr. Speaker. He's a veteran MP. But I don't know why he wants to distract Canadians from today's good news. For once, the Conservatives should be happy on a Friday morning, Mr. Speaker. We're looking at 2.2% growth in Canada. That's higher than what economists were predicting. We have a plan to grow the Canadian economy. We have a plan to build tomorrow's economy. We have a plan for a strong Canada. That's exactly what we're doing. The Honourable Member for Louis Saint-Laurent at Wenrock. Well, what's really going up, Mr. Speaker, what's going up by 36% is this Liberal government's spending on consultants. Already, last year, they were spending way too much, $20 billion, and yet now it's gone up to $26 billion. They have shown no ability to control spending. We can see that. Canadians want a government that controls spending. Why is the Minister of Finance refusing to table a budget? In fact, he was criticized by his leader last week. Will the Minister of Finance commit to tabling a budget this spring? The Honourable Minister of Finance. No, I'm sorry.
The Honourable Minister, le Ministre.
Oui, merci.
The Honourable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That's fine. I don't need my full title. I'd like to thank my colleague for his question. He mentioned drama, and I would just like to say that he also quite likes drama. We see him doing some pretty histrionic things during every question period. Well, we know that the Conservative platform wasn't worth the paper it was written on. Everyone who understands math throughout the country ridiculed the Conservative platform. Meanwhile, we on this side of the House, we were elected with a clear mandate to reduce dependence on external consultants and have a strong public service and accomplish our ambitious agenda. The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent, Akiwanrak. Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm not being theatrical. These are facts. This government said it would reduce its spending on consultants, but actually we're seeing the exact opposite. 36%. That's the increase on consultants. For those who are listening at home, know that for every single family, those consultants are going to cost you $1,400 in taxes. That's the signature move of this government. Will someone tell this Minister of Finance that it makes no sense to further increase spending on consultants? The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, we have reduced our dependence on consultants, but we were also elected on a very strong mandate. A mandate to increase government efficiency, for example, by using new technologies. My colleague mentioned Canadian families. Well, this week we tabled a motion in the House, a measure in the House, to give back on average each Canadian family $840 in tax cuts. Will the Conservatives support that measure? It's only common sense.